Alright, hey guys. How are you guys doing? Hopefully you guys had a good day, or if it's gonna be daytime when you're watching this, I hope you guys are having a good day. But I just want to do, I'm just in the mood to make a video. Now, what is this video gonna be? It's gonna be a story time video. And I'm gonna talk about back in November 2019, when me, my dad, and my brother took a trip back to Orange Grove, Mathis, and Corpus Christi. Those were the three towns that we did stuff in during November 2019. Which, as you know, the town that I lived in was Orange Grove. If you've watched some of my previous videos. But yeah. Now, we were still living with our uncle at the time. In fact, one of the reasons why we had to go to Orange Grove was to meet with a realtor so we could put the house in the market. And I'm going to tell you guys how it went down once I get into that part of the story. Now, I believe November 25th was the day we got up and went to Mathis, I believe. Yeah, I believe we went to Mathis because we went to, I believe that was the place where we stayed in, like, you know, to like sleep, like at a hotel. I am really sorry about that, guys. But yes, it was, I believe, yes, November 25th, I believe, was the day we drove over to Mathis. And the drive over there was okay. You know, I just kind of played on my phone, listened to music, watched YouTube videos, looked out the window, you know. I just kind of did that stuff. There are two particular things I do want to talk about, though, about our drive over to Mathis. One of them was, oh my god, one of them was, sorry about that, I guess I'm just really flimsy tonight. One of them was about my dad mentioning about us going out to California. Now, I have talked about this in multiple videos already, but you guys how much I hate long road trips like that. Now, the one that we took, you know, from here from my uncle's house, which this isn't my uncle's house, but from the town we live in now to the to the three towns that we did things in, which is approximately 8 hours, 8 hours and a half. That's fine. That that's not too overwhelming for me. But like taking a trip like all the way out to California, which is like 20 something hours over there and then 20 something hours back. That that is where it gets to be too much for me. So I tried saying something to my dad and my brother, but they didn't even freaking believe me. They just said, they just gave the excuse that I had fun on the Florida trip. Which, yeah, I did have some fun, but at the same time, it wasn't really worth being drugged half-assed across the country. And then half-assed back. There are places closer that are not as long of a drive that you could do all those fun things like go on a roller coaster, all that good stuff. But yeah, they didn't even freaking believe me. And if you guys may have noticed, that's actually why I made a long road trips rant. It was it was the day after we got back, which was Thanksgiving. I'm gonna get into that part, but that was one of the reasons why I made that long road trips rant. Not because of the trip that we were taking. Like I said, I'm okay with 8-hour road trips, but one of the reasons why I made that was because my dad mentioned something about it, and it was kind of bothering me, so I kind of wanted to get it off my chest, which I was planning to make a long road trips rant anyway, but thanks to that incident that happened, where I was trying to tell my dad and my brother that I didn't want to go to California, and I brought up how the Florida trip went for me. They just said, "Oh, you had fun on the Florida trip." They didn't really pay attention. They didn't really even see where I was coming from. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I just went ahead and made it. And then I remade it, which, like I said, I was already planning to remake it, but shortly before I remade it, I heard my dad brought up California once again. And I didn't say anything this time. I just kind of kept it inside. But yeah. So that was one of the things that happened. And another thing that happened was my dad decided to get donuts to have on the way there. Now, I like donuts, don't get me wrong, but to me, I don't think they're a food to have during a long road trip, because, oh my god, I remember I kept having to try to keep the boxes from sliding, and it was a pain in the ass. But luckily, after, I don't know, a couple hours, like I don't know, 3, 4, maybe 2 hours into the trip, I believe we were able to place them where they wouldn't keep sliding out. Like I said, I do like donuts, don't get me wrong, but I would rather have those, like, I rather have that at the house, to me that's more of a food you should, more of a food you should eat at the house, or if you're like going to a restaurant, but not, it's not a good idea to have them during a long road trip. Or at least to buy boxes of them, because otherwise they could slide out and spill, and don't, or not spill, that's more of a drink thing, but they could slide out and dump onto the seat or on the floorboard. For me, my favorite breakfast food to have, not only on the road, but just in general, are hash browns. Like, I love McDonald's hash browns. They are so freaking good. But no, we had to do donuts instead. I mean, I get it, I guess. My dad is like sick of fast food, but yeah. So he wanted to get something that everyone would enjoy, but it's just that, like I said, that was not a good idea to do that during a road trip. Save the donuts for, like, when we're just at home or going to a restaurant. They're not a good thing to get on the road. Unless you're just buying like a few donuts at a time. Like, a few per person to eat, for one serving for each person. Where you didn't have to have boxes where you had to try to keep from sliding from out the seats. But even then, like, honestly, I think it's still better to have, like, hash browns and whatnot, McDonald's food. But yeah. So yeah, when we got to the hotel, my mom was all excited to see us, so we kind of reminisced a bit, kind of hung out. So yeah. I remember we went to McDonald's. And it was fun when we went over to McDonald's, because I was being goofy and then I was making my mom laugh, and I like to make people laugh. I really enjoy making people laugh. It feels good. So yeah, we went over to McDonald's that Monday. Yes, it was a Monday, because I remember saying that the 26th was a Tuesday. So yeah, our drive over to Mathis was on November 25th, which was a Monday. So yeah. We got McDonald's. I'm sorry if you guys hear the background noise. These aren't the most soundproof walls in the world. My brother likes to blast his games sometimes, and they play music. Hopefully I don't get freaking copyrighted from this. But anyway, back to the point. So we got McDonald's, yeah? Okay? We got McDonald's, and we kind of just sat at a table and kind of chatted for a little bit. Kind of chatted about our plans for the next day, which I'm going to be getting into that. Until they brought us in our food, which they messed up my order. I was still able, I still had the fries, thankfully, but I believe if I remember correctly, they put cheese on my burger. Which, you guys how much know, which I did a rant on when fast food workers mess up your order. So, yeah, I don't think I ate my burger. I think I just ate the fries. So yeah, after that, we went back to the hotel room. And okay, I told this story in my remake video. I kind of talked about this in my remake video of why I was excited to move out of my Uncle Junior's house and move into our own house, which, as you guys know, was in this house. I talked about it in that video. But what had happened was, okay, I was going up to the hotel room me and my mom were staying in, because usually when we have to stay in hotels, like for something, like we'll get 2 rooms. One of the rooms me and my mom stay in, and the other my dad and my brother stay in, right? So I was going into the one that me and my mom were staying in. And then my mom got mad at me and said, "You could spend some time with us, you know." And it's just like, I didn't know we were eating together. You didn't tell me. I am not a mind reader. You can't just expect me to magically know what's going on. I get that. You know, we hardly get to spend time together now due to you and my dad being separated, but that's still no excuse for getting mad at me for not knowing our eating plans or whatever. If you could have just been like, "Hey Shauna, we're gonna eat your dad and your brother's room tonight. Let's go. And then I would have been like, okay, sure. If you could have told me that beforehand, I wouldn't have had a problem. But since you decided to keep it from me, I didn't know. So I just thought it was me and my mom in my room and my dad and my brother in their room. Because that's what we would do sometimes anyway. Like, back when we were still living in Orange Grove and back when my mom and dad were together, a lot of the times, me and my mom would just eat in our room, and my dad and my brother would just eat in their room. Well, and it, honestly, it's not just that. I hate crowded spaces. It's so freaking crowded four people being in one hotel room together, eating. It's hard to because there's only a desk and then two beds and it's hard to make those kind of arrangements when it's four people in one room. And not only that, but I do not like to be crammed in one room with three other people and for sustained amounts of time. I'm not just talking about my family. I mean, it could be anyone in general. I'm not just talking about my family. I'm sure I have that problem with anyone. But yeah. And after a while, I did get really bored. But at the same time, I did have me and my mom and my dad were still goofing off together a lot. So during dinner time. So I guess that was fun, but still, it still would have been better for us to eat in our room, and then my dad and my brother have their room. Like I said, I get that they just wanted us to spend time together. My mom wanted us to just spend time together. I get that, but we were going to spend the whole day together anyway, the next day, which I'll get into that part in a bit. It's not like that was our last few hours together. We still had a whole day ahead of us. So, yeah. Plus, like I said, my mom damn well knows that I don't like to be crowded in one space together. A couple of weeks or so later, I did talk to her about it though, and then, I didn't actually talk to her, but I texted her on the phone, because I don't like talking on the phone. I much prefer texting. So I did text her about it a couple of weeks or so later, and then she apologized. So yeah, that part's good. So yeah. So later that night, I decided I wanted to show my mom one of my funny Dora the Explorer fanfictions. It was one about what would really happen if like if it was like realistic, like what would happen if Dora and Boots tried to swap Swiper? What would happen if like the show was realistic? And oh my gosh, she laughed so freaking hard. She loved the story. She actually decided to show my dad and my brother on her own accord, but my dad kind of, from what my mom told, but so I went with her because I wanted to see their reaction. My brother was asleep, but my dad was just like, And my mom said one of the reasons was why I was cussing. Now, my mom is a lot more lenient towards me when it comes to cussing than she was when I was younger. But my dad, he's if he, like, notices that I'm cussing, which thankfully he almost never does, you know, it's still kind of makes him cringe, I guess you could say. So yeah. Anyway, that Monday night when I tried to go to sleep, I didn't really get that much sleep because, guys, I do not do well sleeping in hotel rooms. I don't. Especially when I have, like, someone. Especially when I'm, like, when I have a roommate. Because my mom, she, like, she kind of, like, makes moaning sounds or whatever when she's sleeping, and that keeps me awake. So I just kind of fooled around on my computer for most of the night. I believe I did get a few hours of sleep, so that's good. So when we woke up the next morning, it was November 26th. Now, as most of you know, November 26th is the day Steven Hillenburg passed away. November 26th, 2018. And it just so happened that our trip fell on one of those days. So, while I was at the hotel and it was early in the morning, I uploaded the tribute video I made. It's actually still on my channel. You could watch it if you like, but it's a little bit outdated, and it's also rushed because, first of all, I was about to wake up and I was about to have to do stuff with my dad and my brother and my mom. We had errands we had to run later that day. And second of all, I deleted a lot of my pictures. Oh, sorry guys. I moved my mouse and I guess that makes my screen came up. I deleted a lot of pictures from my photos. And what I didn't know was that if you have pictures in your gallery that you also put in KineMaster, it will also delete them from KineMaster. So I kind of had to just did what I can to refine and remake some of those pictures. But I mean, it turned. Besides that, it did turn out well. It's just very outdated. If it's hard to explain what I mean by outdated, but yeah. Now, this November 26th is on a Thursday, which also happens to be Thanksgiving. Hopefully, the only plans I'll have this November 26th is like, eating Thanksgiving dinner with my family members and like spending time with each other for a few hours. Hopefully that's the only thing that I'll have to do when November 26th, 2020 comes. Because I don't want to have a bunch of busyness and errands. I'd have to run again. That would suck. But yeah. So later that day when it was time to get up and run errands, there isn't really much to say that I can remember. Is it except that, we went to La Playa, we went to the VA. But there is one particular thing that I do remember. And it was when we went back to Orange Grove to check out the house. Apparently, there was stuff missing from this house because a couple of the people that lived in Orange Grove, I guess they broke in or something, and they were stealing, and they stole some of the doors, I believe, and I believe my dad said the stove was missing too. Yeah. And oh my god. During the road trip, my mom was driving me insane. Now, usually, back in the day, usually my dad and my mom would sit in the front, and then me and my brother would sit in the back. But nowadays, when all four of us are together, my brother sits in the front with my dad, and then my mom sits in the back with me. And she would just piss me off to no end. And that's what she did during our errands that day. So yeah. Luckily, the night was better though. Tuesday night was pretty good. We went to McDonald's again, but this time they got my burger right. They got my order right. And my mom was staying at a friend's house at the time. And she decided that she would we would drop her off back over at her friend's house, because not only do I have trouble sleeping in the same room as my mom, but she also has trouble sleeping in the same room as me. So my mom knew that it would be better for both of us for her to go back to her friend's house for the night. So I actually had the hotel room to myself for the Tuesday night. One thing I also remember doing was I was like having an art contest, so I gave out the results for an art contest I had, and got some pictures done. I can't remember if this was Monday, November 25th or Tuesday, November 26th, but it was one of those days. But anyway, Tuesday night was pretty fun, you know. I actually slept good because, first of all, I was kind of busy that day, and second of all, I had the room to myself. So we did that. We woke up at 5 a.m. to go back to my uncle's house, where we were staying at the time, as you guys know. I remember getting Jack in the Box. It was actually in the morning. They were out of me and my brother had Jack in the Box, and my daddy got Taco Bell, and two of them weren't doing breakfast foods, even though it was morning. So I actually got a burger and curly fries, and my dad got some tacos or burritos or something. And they messed up my burger, not in the usual way. They didn't put cheese on it, that's how my burger usually gets messed up, but they put pickles. So yeah, the burger was okay. I mean, it was pretty good, but I think I could still taste the pickle flavoring. So I mostly stuck to the fries. All in all, though, it was a pretty fun, I had a pretty good time. It was also fun. Since it was in the fall, the scenery was really pretty. There were I liked seeing the trees and the different colors. Now, the seasons in Texas where we live, they're not as defined as they are in some places. You're not going to see bright orange trees everywhere, but you could still notice that the trees were different colors, and it was really nice to see that. It was really pretty. I love fall. That's probably my favorite season. So yeah, that was Wednesday when we went back, which was the day before Thanksgiving. And oh my gosh, I slept so much until Thanksgiving. Because I was busy. I didn't get to sleep very much. I was staying in a hotel. So when we got back to my uncle's house, oh my god, I slept so much. I took a nap during the day, and I was still able to sleep during the night, and on Thanksgiving Day, I actually had a dream that I missed Thanksgiving. I have those types of dreams a lot. Sometimes I'll have dreams that I wake up and it'll be really late. I heard when you have dreams about waking up, that's actually called a false awakening. But luckily, that was just a dream. I didn't really miss Thanksgiving. So yeah, the trip did have some inconveniences. But all in all, it was a pretty fun trip. I'm going to go ahead and end this because one time when on one of my videos, my camera shut off on my own, and I don't want that to happen here. So I'll talk to you guys later.